Tonight, you'll hear a sound you know so well it's practically white noise. The chime of a notification. Maybe it's a news alert, a message from a friend, a new email. You glance at it. Maybe you answer it, and then you go right back to what you were doing, scrolling. Now, turn your head. Look at your son, your daughter, your niece, the kid next door. Their world is built from these same chimes and alerts. Their friendships are managed in group chats. Their adventures are often digital. Their boredom is solved with a screen. To you, to them, this feels normal. This feels like childhood. But for 99.9% of human history, a childhood like this would have been utterly unrecognizable, a biological impossibility. It was so different, so physically demanding and sensorily rich, that if you could pluck an ancient 10-year-old and drop them into a modern home, they'd think they'd landed in a bizarre, silent, padded cage. And the most shocking part? The science is now suggesting their way wasn't just different. By the fundamental metrics of a developing human brain and body, it was better. And this isn't about trading tablets for wooden toys. This is about a rift so deep in our species' story that it has rewired our stress, our focus, and even our sight. This is about why your kid can't sit still, why their anxiety feels like it's on a new frequency, and why something as simple as climbing a tree might be a more profound developmental act than an entire semester of tutoring. Because your child is the product of an ancient, unbroken line of humans who survived not by sitting quietly, but by doing the exact opposite. If even one of their direct ancestors had spent their childhood the way ours do today, they likely wouldn't have made it to puberty. You wouldn't be here. So we have to ask, what have we lost? And more importantly, what can we still hear if we listen closely to that old blueprint? To understand the childhood we built, you first have to feel the childhood we were built for. Close your eyes. Not in your room. Not in your house. You are 4 years old. The first thing you notice is the smell. It's not the clean, static scent of air conditioning. It's the damp, green smell of soil after rain, the tang of wood smoke from a central fire, the pungency of animal hides and human bodies living in close quarters. It's not a bad smell. It's a rich one. A dense information feed for your brain. The ground beneath you isn't flat linoleum or plush carpet. It's uneven earth, packed down by footsteps, studded with small stones and tufts of grass. To walk on it, you have to pay attention. Your ankles and the tiny muscles in your feet are constantly making micro-adjustments. A full-body lesson in balance and terrain. You are almost never alone. You are part of a tight, noisy, multi-age swarm. Babies are strapped to backs. Toddlers stumble after older kids. The adults are there, but they aren't managing you. They are doing, scraping hides, napping stone, tending the fire, talking. You are in their orbit, soaking it all in through your skin. No one is explaining the physics of flint napping to you. You just see the posture, hear the tink, 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 feel the focus in the air. Your play isn't scheduled. It emerges from the world itself. A fallen log becomes a balance beam. A muddy patch becomes a sculpture studio. A grove of trees becomes an entire universe. You are outside from dawn until dusk, your eyes constantly shifting focus from the macro to the micro, tracking a friend running ahead, then studying the intricate path of an ant in the dirt. Your visual system is getting a workout no screen can ever replicate. And then there's the risk. The low-stakes, real-world risk that is utterly terrifying to a modern parent. You might climb that log and fall. You might scrape your knee on a rock. You might get into a squabble with another child and have to navigate the social fallout without an adult immediately swooping in to mediate. This isn't neglect. This is the curriculum. Every scrape, every solved argument, every successful climb is a lesson written directly into your nervous system. Asterisk, you are capable. The world is negotiable. Your boredom isn't an emergency to be solved by a digital pacifier. It's a fertile vacuum. It's the quiet space where imagination, that ancient and crucial survival tool, rushes in to build its own worlds. You are never overstimulated, yet you are constantly, deeply engaged. This was the human baseline. For over 2 million years, childhood was an apprenticeship in being human, taught by the world itself. And then, in the geological blink of an eye, we changed everything. We built walls. We smoothed the floors. We created a concept called inside. We invented the idea of child-appropriate activities, which slowly began to shrink from the scale of the forest to the scale of the living room. We replaced the multi-age swarm with age-segregated classrooms. We swapped the ever-present hum of communal work for scheduled playdates. We demonized dirt, pathologized risk, and, eventually, handed our children glowing rectangles that could pacify boredom instantly. We didn't do this to harm them. We did it out of love, out of a drive for safety and progress. But in doing so, we quietly declared that the environment, which meticulously crafted the human brain for millennia, was now obsolete. We assumed a brain that evolved over eons could adapt seamlessly to a totally new world in a single generation. And what scientists are discovering is that this assumption is breaking something fundamental. Our children are not broken, but they are living in a habitat that is, in many ways, alien to their biology. And their stress, their frustration, their dysregulation, it's not a malfunction. It's a form of biological feedback, a signal from deep time, asking a simple, urgent question. Where's the world I was built for? This is where the science gets counterintuitive. The problem isn't that modern childhood is too hard. In many ways, it's too easy. Or rather, it's easy in all the wrong places and crushingly hard in all the wrong ways. The ancient childhood was physically arduous but neurologically coherent. The stimuli matched the wiring. A rustle in the bushes was either a real threat, a predator, or a real opportunity, a prey animal. The body's stress response, the fight-or-flight cascade of cortisol and adrenaline, had a clear purpose and a physical outlet. Run, climb, fight, hide. The system completed its loop. The modern childhood is often physically passive but neurologically chaotic. The stimuli are mismatched. The rustle in the bushes is now a barrage of pings, alerts, the pressure of social media likes, the anxiety of a school test, the overstimulation of a crowded mall. These trigger the same ancient fight-or-flight alarm, but there's nowhere to run, no physical outlet. The cortisol floods the system and just pools there. The loop never closes, and we've placed it in an abstract, digital, socially complex world that moves at light speed. The brain is using a Stone Age toolkit to solve space-age problems, and it's showing the strain. Take attention. In the savannah, a child's attention was fierce but fluid. They could hyper-focus on tracking an animal's prints in the dirt, then immediately switch to broad, panoramic awareness to scan the horizon for danger. This is the attentional system we evolved, the ability to toggle between a laser beam and a floodlight, as the situation demanded. Now, we ask that brain to sit still in a fluorescent-lit room and focus a laser beam on a page of abstract symbols for hours on end. We punish the floodlight instinct, the glancing around, the fidgeting, the need to move. Then, when they go home, we hand them a device that shatters attention into a million glittering fragments, swiping, tapping, jumping between apps. We've replaced the natural, rhythmic toggling with either forced rigidity or manic fragmentation. Is it any wonder the system is confused? Or take social development. In the multi-age tribe, social learning was immersive and graduated. A 6-year-old learned how to behave by watching 10-year-olds, who were watching teenagers, who were watching adults. Conflict was low stakes and immediate. You stole your friend's favorite stick, he shoved you. You worked it out, or you played alone. The feedback was instant and tangible. Now, social life is often conducted through a screen. A conflict isn't a shove over a stick. It's a misunderstood text message, a whispered rumor, the silent agony of being left out of a group chat. The brain's ancient social threat detectors, meant for reading facial expressions and body language, are firing. In a vacuum, with no clear resolution, the stress is abstract, prolonged, and often inescapable, even in the bedroom. We thought we were building a safer, richer childhood. And in many ways, we have. But we failed to see that we were also building a neurological mismatch. We removed the very things, the risky play, the free movement, the multi-sensory immersion in nature, the mixed-age social fabric, that were not just accessories to development. They were its operating system. And the evidence for this mismatch isn't just a feeling. It's etched in our bones, visible in our eyes, and measurable in our brainwaves. Let's start with the body, because the proof is literally under our feet. Paleoanthropologists studying ancient skeletons, like those from the famous Cima de los Huesos site in Spain, can tell from the bone density and muscle attachment points that even Neanderthal children were incredibly strong and active. Their bones show stress markers, consistent with regular, vigorous load-bearing and movement from a very young age. Jump forward to more recent history. Studies of childhood skeletons from medieval villages show signs of fractures and healed injuries, a testament not to abuse, but to active, physical lives filled with the minor tumbles and falls that are the tax of learning your body's limits. Modern children, by comparison, have weaker bone density and less developed proprioception. Their sense of where their body is in space Their habitat has smoothed out the very obstacles that built strength and spatial intelligence. But the most fascinating evidence might be in our eyes. Myopia, nearsightedness, has skyrocketed in children, especially in industrialized East Asia where academic pressure is intense and outdoor time is minimal. For decades, we blamed books and screens, but the science has pivoted. It's not the close work causing the epidemic. It's the lack of distance viewing. Children's eyes need prolonged, daily exposure to bright natural light to develop properly, and to signal the eyeball to stop elongating, which causes myopia. That ancient child, outside all day, was giving their visual system the precise dose of light, and the constant exercise of shifting focus from near to far that it required. The modern child, living under artificial light, and focusing mostly on near objects, screens, books, walls, is starving their eyes of the developmental signal they evolved to expect. It's not an eye defect. It's an eye deprivation. Then there's the brain itself. Neuroscientists using EEG and fMRI are finding stark differences in the brain activity of children who spend regular time in unstructured outdoor play versus those who don't. The nature-exposed kids show better prefrontal cortex function. That's the CEO of the brain, responsible for focus, impulse control, and problem-solving. They also show a more regulated stress response in their amygdala, the brain's fear center. One landmark experiment, though not on humans, points to the power of this old blueprint. In the 1950s, a Soviet geneticist named Dmitry Belayev began a famous experiment with silver foxes. He selected only the calmest, most friendly foxes to breed. Within just a few generations, he didn't just get tamer foxes. He got a cascade of physical changes: floppier ears, cullier tails, different coat patterns. The selection for a single behavioral trait, tameness, rewired their entire developmental program, unlocking a suite of juvenile physical traits that remained into adulthood. It was called the domestication syndrome. Some scientists now look at modern humans and see a faint echo of this. Our faces have become somewhat more gracile. Our stress responses are more sensitive. Have we, in our drive to create a safer, more controlled childhood, inadvertently selected for a kind of self-domestication? Have we traded some of the rugged, resilient, wild plasticity of the ancient developmental path for a smoother, more neotenous, but perhaps more fragile one? The question hangs there, unsettling and profound. The final piece of evidence is the simplest and the most heartbreaking. Ask child psychologists what they see soaring in their clinics. It's not just ADHD diagnoses. It's anxiety disorders, depression, and a pervasive sense of helplessness. These are, at their core, disorders of agency. The ancient child's life was a masterclass in agency. Asterisk, I can climb this. I can make that. I can solve this conflict. Asterisk, the modern child's life is often a lesson in managed passivity. Sit here, consume this. Let me handle that for you. We have stripped away the graduated challenges that build competence, and then we wonder why they feel incompetent. The data is a chorus, all singing the same song. From the density of ancient bones to the shape of modern eyeballs. From Fox experiments to rising anxiety graphs. The message is clear. The childhood we invented is in profound conflict with the childhood we inherited. And our children's minds and bodies are keeping the score. So where does this leave us? With a guilt trip? A demand to throw out the iPads and move to a mud hut? No, this is not about guilt. This is about understanding. Your child is not a problem to be fixed. They are a message to be decoded. Their restlessness, their deep need for screen time, their anxiety. These are not moral failings. They are the instincts of a little Paleolithic brain, bumping up against the walls of a 21st century world. They are signals of a deprivation they can't name. And the beautiful, hopeful truth is this. You don't have to rebuild the savannah to answer that signal. The ancient needs are simple. They don't require a wilderness. They require elements. Topic: the unnatural childhood. Why ancient kids were happier than ours. Narration. You can give them unstructured time, not more scheduled activities, but blank space in the calendar where boredom is allowed to blossom into invention. You can give them managed risk. Let them climb that tree a little higher than feels comfortable. Let them use a real knife to whittle a stick under your watchful eye. Let them build a fort that might collapse. You are not being reckless. You are providing the exact, graded challenge their risk calibration software needs to install properly. You can give them nature in whatever dollops you can. A muddy puddle is a universe. A backyard bug hunt is a safari. The goal isn't picturesque wilderness. It's the sensory texture of the non-man-made world. Dirt, water, leaves, weather. You can give them mixed-age interaction. Encourage them to play with kids younger and older than them. The older ones learn empathy and leadership. The younger ones learn by watching and trying to keep up. It's the old tribal classroom, rediscovered. And most importantly, you can reframe your own mind. That scraped knee isn't a disaster. It's a lesson in healing. That sibling squabble isn't a failure of your parenting. It's a lab for their social skills. That urge they have to jump in every puddle they see isn't them being difficult. It's a 2 million-year-old program running perfectly, telling them to engage with the tactile, messy, wonderful texture of the world. Tonight, when you hear that notification chime, you'll understand it differently. It's not just a sound. It's a symbol of a new world, one that asks our children to be pioneers in a landscape no human brain has ever inhabited before. They are doing their best with a map written for a different planet. Our job isn't to drag them back to the past. It's to be translators, to take the wisdom of that ancient, robust childhood, the need for movement, for tangible risk, for deep sensory immersion in the real world, and weave its threads back into the fabric of their modern lives. Because that ancient child isn't a stranger in a history book. That child is still here. You can see them in your son's fierce concentration as he builds a Lego tower to the sky. You can hear them in your daughter's shriek of pure joy as she swings so high her feet nearly touch the leaves. They are reaching out, across the millennia, through the noise and the glow and the schedule. All they are asking for is a little more of the world they were built to love, a little less of the cage, and a chance to be, just for a few hours, what they truly are, not just children of the digital age, but children of the earth. Wild, capable, and deeply, deeply happy.